Oh, now, wait a minute. Why all the long faces?
Do you ever wonder what happened to the cartoons that once lit up your Saturday mornings and filled your heart with joy? Some of those beloved classics from the 1960s have quietly faded into the shadows of history. But not today. Today, we're dusting off the memories of 12 forgotten cartoons that didn't just entertain us. They shaped the very DNA of modern animation. So, grab your cereal bowl and settle in for a trip down memory lane, because these hidden gems deserve their moment back in the spotlight. Trust me, you don't want to miss the surprises waiting at the top of this list. Number 1. The Magic of Alakazam, 1966. The Magic Land of Alakazam is a hidden gem of the 1960s, a show that felt like opening a portal to a world where puppets, animation, and live action blended seamlessly into pure enchantment. Premiering in 1966, it followed the adventures of Alakazam, a spellbinding magician with a flair for dramatic incantations, and his trusty sidekick, Xandar, a talking dog with plenty of charm and wit. Together, they pulled off jaw-dropping magical feats, solved puzzles, and invited kids to use their imagination like never before. What made the Magic Land of Alakazam so unique was its whimsical mashup of mediums, creating a dreamlike atmosphere that was way ahead of its time. Each episode felt like stepping into a storybook brought to life, with moral lessons about friendship, teamwork, and creativity woven into the magical adventures. Whether it was Alakazam's dazzling tricks or Xandar's endearing humor, the show had a quirky charm that captured hearts, even if it never reached commercial stardom. Number 2. Underdog, 1964.
Are you hurt, Sweet Polly?
No, thank goodness.
In 1964, Underdog swooped onto TV screens, turning the superhero genre on its head and proving that even the most unassuming character could save the day. By day, he was Shoeshine Sam, a humble, clumsy canine who seemed destined for the ordinary. But when disaster struck, with a flash of courage and his iconic, "There's no need to fear, Underdog is here," he transformed into the unlikely hero we all cheered for. Underdog's battles weren't just about brute strength or flashy gadgets. They were fueled by a deep sense of justice and a desire to protect those in need. With villains like the conniving Simon Bar Sinister always plotting world domination, and the steadfast Sweet Polly purebred cheering him on, Underdog faced adversity with equal parts charm and determination. The show's appeal wasn't just in its catchy theme song or colorful animation, but in its timeless themes of bravery, loyalty, and standing up for what's right, even if you aren't the biggest or strongest. Underdog embodied the spirit of the reluctant hero, showing kids that being heroic isn't about perfection, it's about heart. Number 3. The Herculoids, 1967.
What is it, Xandor?
I'm not sure. Sound I have not heard before.
If you grew up in the 60s craving epic battles and futuristic worlds, the Herculoids was the ultimate ticket to adventure. Premiering in 1967, this action-packed series transported viewers to the planet Quasar, where Xandor, the fearless leader, and his son Dorno, and their incredible team of superpowered creatures fought to protect their world from relentless alien invaders. Each creature had its own unique powers. Egu, the rock-solid ape with unmatched strength, Tundro, a rhino-like beast firing explosive energy and rocks, and Zoc, a flying dragon with laser eyes that could light up the cosmos. What made the Herculoids stand out wasn't just the jaw-dropping battles or the outlandish creatures. It was the unbreakable bond between the human characters and the otherworldly allies. This wasn't just a team. It was a family united by bravery and an unwavering commitment to their world's safety. The show's darker, more serious tone set it apart from the lighthearted cartoons of its time, giving kids a taste of genuine stakes and thrilling drama. Blending the best of sci-fi and fantasy, the Herculoids paved the way for iconic shows like He-Man and the Thundercats. Number 4. Space Ghost, 1966.
We're coming in.
Roger, nothing new here either.
Debuting in 1966, Space Ghost didn't just blast onto screens, it launched an entire era of intergalactic heroics. Unlike many superheroes of the time, Space Ghost wasn't grounded by earthly concerns. His battles stretched across the cosmos, with villains like the scheming Zorak and the molten menace Moltar always cooking up trouble. Armed with an invincible force field, an array of sci-fi gadgets, and a cape that rivaled any in the Superhero Hall of Fame, Space Ghost was a true pioneer in the galaxy of animated defenders. What set Space Ghost apart wasn't just the action, it was the brilliance of intense heroics and flashes of satirical humor. For its time, blending interstellar brawls with winks at the audience was groundbreaking, offering kids thrills while sneaking in a bit of clever wit. Add to that its sleek, futuristic animation style, and Space Ghost became an instant standout. Though the original series had a short run, its impact was anything but fleeting. The character's legacy was hilariously reborn in the 1990s with Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where our intergalactic hero traded battles for talk show banter, cementing his place in pop culture with a completely new generation. From serious starbound showdowns to satirical stardom, Space Ghost's journey proves that true heroes and great cartoons never fade. Number 5. Jonny Quest, 1964. When Jonny Quest hit the screens in 1964, it wasn't just another cartoon, it was a revelation. As the first animated series to fuse action-adventure, espionage, and global exploration, it felt like watching a blockbuster movie unfold in your living room every Saturday morning. The series followed the fearless Jonny Quest as he traveled the globe alongside his brilliant scientist father, Dr. Benton Quest, his quick-witted best friend Haji, and their mischievous dog Bandit. From uncovering ancient secrets to outsmarting sinister spies, every episode was a pulse-pounding journey into the unknown. What truly set Jonny Quest apart was its sense of realism. The threats weren't just fantastical, they were rooted in the real-world dangers of science gone wrong. International intrigue, and mysterious forces. For kids, it added a layer of intensity that made every close call feel genuinely thrilling. The show's animation style was equally ahead of its time, with sleek designs and exotic locations that transported viewers to uncharted territories, all while delivering jaw-dropping action sequences. Beyond the adventures, the heart of the series lay in the bond between Johnny, Haji, and Dr. Quest. Their family dynamic, equal parts love and teamwork, was groundbreaking, adding emotional depth to a genre often dominated by spectacle. Jonny Quest didn't just influence generations of action-adventure cartoons, it set the gold standard for what animated storytelling could achieve. Number 6. The Banana Splits Adventure Hour, 1968.
Banana Splits Club will study the bylaws. Why? Well, because bylaws are important.
In 1968, the Banana Splits Adventure Hour burst onto screens like a colorful, chaotic fever dream, introducing kids to a whole new breed of entertainment, a mashup of live action, animation, and unbridled weirdness. Starring the Banana Splits, a groovy rock band made up of 4 costumed animal characters, Fleagle the dog, Bingo the ape, Drooper the lion, and Snorky the elephant, the show was equal parts concert, comedy, and adventure. Their infectious rock songs, wacky hijinks, and surreal antics turned Saturday mornings into a kaleidoscope of fun. Part live-action slapstick, part animated escapades, the Banana Splits Adventure Hour stood out in an era dominated by straightforward kids programming. Each episode felt like stepping into a candy-colored carnival, with skits, animated shorts, and goofy challenges all tied together by the Splits' enduring personalities. Who could forget that catchy theme song? Tra-la-la, 1 banana, 2 banana. That became an earworm for a generation. Though its original run was short-lived, the Banana Splits left a long-lasting impression. Its quirky charm paved the way for iconic shows like The Muppets and Sesame Street, which carried forward its bold blend of music, humor, and lovable oddballs. Number 7. Super Chicken, 1967.
You're knocking the straw out of it. All criminals go to pieces when you finally arrive.
If you're a fan of quirky humor and superheroes who are more oops than awesome, Super Chicken is a must-revisit gem of the 1960s. Premiering in 1967 as part of the Fractured Flickers anthology series, this cartoon was a tongue-in-cheek parody that turned the superhero genre on its beak. The story follows Super Chicken, a self-absorbed and often clueless fowl who dons his cape and mask to save the day, if you can call it saving. His rallying cry, "You knew the job was dangerous when you took it, Fred," set the tone for every wacky misadventure. Super Chicken's sidekick, Fred the Lion, was the real MVP, tirelessly cleaning up after his feathered friend's laughable attempts at heroics. The dynamic between the two, Fred's exasperation and Super Chicken's oblivious bravado, made the series endlessly entertaining. Whether it was absurd gadgets, botched rescues, or villains who were as goofy as the hero, Super Chicken never took itself seriously, which was exactly the point. At a time when most superheroes were busy saving the world with stoic determination, Super Chicken swooped in with slapstick humor and irreverent charm. Its playful parody paved the way for later comedic hero tales, showing us that sometimes laughter is the greatest superpower of all. And let's be honest, who wouldn't root for a chicken in a cape? Number 8, The Flintstones, 1960.
Someone's gonna tell him?
Oh, that's another thing, Fred.
You simply can't talk about 1960s cartoons without giving the Flintstones their due. Premiering in 1960, this groundbreaking series wasn't just the first primetime animated show. It was a prehistoric powerhouse that defined an era. Set in the town of Bedrock, the show hilariously reimagined modern suburban life with a Stone Age twist. Fred Flintstone, his level-headed wife Wilma, their adorable daughter Pebbles, and their eccentric neighbors, the Rubbles, became America's favorite prehistoric family. What made the Flintstones a cultural phenomenon was its genius parody of mid-century life. From foot-powered cars and dino dishwashers to Fred's infamous "Yabba Dabba Doo" catchphrase, everything about the show was both wildly inventive and strangely relatable. It cleverly tackled everyday challenges like work stress, marital misadventures, and parenting, with a prehistoric spin, of course. Dino, the family's lovable dinosaur-turned-dog, added even more heart and chaos to the mix. But the Flintstones wasn't just about slapstick humor and clever gags. At its core, it was a story about family and friendship. Fred and Wilma's loving yet hilariously chaotic marriage, coupled with the unshakable bromance between Fred and Barney, made Bedrock feel like home for viewers of all ages. Number 9, Speed Racer, 1967.
Oh, thanks, Speedy.
For fans of fast cars, wild stunts, and heart-pounding excitement, Speed Racer was the ultimate adrenaline rush. Premiering in 1967, this Japanese anime sped across the globe, becoming a cultural phenomenon, especially in the US, where it left kids glued to their screens. The show's sleek animation, nail-biting races, and colorful cast of characters made it an unforgettable part of 1960s childhoods. At the heart of the action was Speed Racer, the fearless young driver of the iconic Mach 5. This wasn't just any car. It was a marvel of futuristic engineering, equipped with gadgets like saw blades, retractable wings, and even a submarine mode. The Mach 5 wasn't just a car. It was a dream machine that fueled the imagination of kids everywhere. But Speed Racer wasn't all about high-speed chases. It had depth, too. The storylines were packed with mystery, family drama, and the ever-present tension between Speed and his enigmatic ally, Racer X. The supporting characters were just as memorable. From Sprittle and Chim Chim's mischievous antics to Trixie's steadfast loyalty as Speed's girlfriend, the show balanced humor and heart effortlessly. And who could forget the show's signature rapid-fire dialogue and over-the-top reactions? It gave Speed Racer its unique charm and unforgettable energy. Number 10. The Jetsons, 1962. When it comes to futuristic cartoons, The Jetsons is the one that still makes us dream about flying cars and robot assistants. Debuting in 1962 as Hanna-Barbera's imaginative counterpoint to the Flintstones, this beloved series catapulted us into a high-tech utopia where everyday life was anything but ordinary. With George Jetson at the helm, his gadget-obsessed wife Jane, fashion-forward daughter Judy, and boy genius Elroy, the Jetson family felt both futuristic and relatable. And let's not forget Rosie, the sassy robot maid who was as much part of the family as the humans she served. The world of the Jetsons was a dazzling mix of sci-fi whimsy and mid-century optimism. Who didn't dream of commuting in a flying car that folded into a briefcase or having a machine whip up dinner at the press of a button? At the time, these innovations seemed fantastical, but they captured the imagination of a generation and gave us a glimpse of what could be. Yet, beneath all the tech wizardry, the Jetsons was a classic sitcom at heart. George's frustrations with his penny-pinching boss, Mr. Spacely, and the chaos of juggling work and family life struck a chord with audiences, showing that even in the future, some things never change. What makes the Jetsons so iconic is how it bridged the gap between fantasy and familiarity. It satirized modern, for the 60s, suburban life while making bold predictions about technology's role in our lives. From video calls to smart homes, many of the show's futuristic concepts have become a reality, proving that its creators were way ahead of their time. I'm just over here still waiting for flying cars. Number 11. The Banana Splits Adventure Hour, 1968. Let's rewind to 1968, when the Banana Splits Adventure Hour hit the airwaves and turned Saturday mornings into a whirlwind of music, laughter, and just plain weirdness. Starring the wacky rock band of Fleagle the dog, Bingo the ape, Drooper the lion, and Snorky the elephant, this show wasn't your typical cartoon. It was an energetic mashup of animated shorts, live-action hijinks, and psychedelic vibes. Whether they were jamming out to groovy tunes or goofing off in zany skits, the Banana Splits were the life of the party. And what a party it was. What made this show so memorable was its unpredictable blend of styles. One minute you'd be singing along to their impossibly catchy theme song, Tra-la-la, and the next you'd find yourself on an animated escapade or laughing at their slapstick antics. It was the kind of chaotic, joyful energy that kept kids glued to their TVs and parents shaking their heads. The Banana Splits didn't just host a show, they created a whole vibe, one that embraced the free-spirited fun of the late 60s. Though it only lasted a few seasons, the impact of the Banana Splits Adventure Hour was anything but short-lived. It paved the way for iconic shows like The Muppets and Sesame Street, proving that blending music, humor, and larger-than-life characters was a recipe for success. Number 12. The Mighty Heroes, 1966.
Gone, it's cold, little buddies. How do you think I feel?
In 1966, the Mighty Heroes swooped onto the scene and flipped the superhero genre upside down. Literally. This quirky, short-lived gem from Filmation wasn't your average caped crusader show. Instead, it gave us a hilariously dysfunctional team of heroes whose powers were as unpredictable as the villains they faced. The lineup? Diablo, the brawny but brainless leader, Aqua Girl, whose water-controlling powers made a splash, Strongman, who could lift just about anything but couldn't lift his way out of trouble, Tiny Tom, the little guy who towered over everyone, and Super Duck, the clumsy flyer who was equal parts chaos and comedy. Every episode was a madcap adventure, filled with slapstick humor and powers that often backfired in the most ridiculous ways. Whether it was Diablo accidentally wrecking the city, or Super Duck crash landing mid-rescue, the laughs kept coming. It was the kind of show that didn't take itself seriously, and that's exactly what made it so refreshing. The Mighty Heroes didn't try to be cool. It leaned into absurdity, poking fun at the overly dramatic tone of other superhero cartoons of the time. Although it only lasted one season, the show left a big impression on those who tuned in. Its mix of action and humor paved the way for later superhero parodies, from The Tick to Teen Titans Go. The Mighty Heroes might not have been the most heroic bunch, but they were undoubtedly unforgettable, proving that sometimes it's the missteps that make a hero truly mighty. Which of these forgotten cartoons sparked a nostalgic glow for you? Are you discovering some hidden gems for the very first time? Either way, let's hear it. Drop your favorites in the comments below. Was it the daring antics of Jonny Quest, the quirky chaos of the Mighty Heroes, or maybe the psychedelic vibes of the Banana Splits Adventure Hour? And remember, this is just the beginning. Part 2's on the way, packed with even more lost treasures from animation's golden era. So, smash that subscribe button, give this video a big ol' thumbs up, and share it with anyone who loves a good trip down memory lane.